Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Abhishek Srivastava, who is the co-founder and CEO of MBAtrek, placement preparation and career guidance platform. Abhishek has attended Georgia Institute of Technology for MS, and he has also attended Indian School of Business for MBA. Abhishek has worked for 9 years with companies such as Schneider Electric, Accenture, and Apple before starting his own venture in 2018. Hi, Abhishek. Welcome to Entrepreneur Lounge of India.
Hi, Priyaranjan. Really excited to be talking to you today, and really appreciate the invite. So I think, and what you're doing at ELI, I think it's very inspirational, even for us as founders. I think wonderful platform, wonderful forum. I think for us to share our stories.
Thank you, Abhishek. Abhishek, I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Okay. So I'll introduce myself. I'm actually a father. I think that's the way I like to introduce myself. I'm a father for a 17-month-old daughter. She's absolutely a dream. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm a massive sports fan. I love watching any kind of sports. I love cricket, for example, a lot, and I follow everything. Very happy that world is slightly starting to come back to normal. Um, I'm an engineer like most kids in India. At least I'm a different engineer. I'm not a computer science and an IT engineer. I'm an environmental engineer. So I love the fact that you have a beautiful photo of, or actually sitting in the middle of a really green, nice, healthy patch.
Hmm.
Um, Sustainability, education, um, working with people, skilling them up. These are some of my biggest passions in life.
Hmm.
I have been very lucky, and honestly, I've been very privileged to have built careers in those areas. And I think one of the best things I would introduce myself to say I'm very proud to be an Indian, happy to be born in a country where there is no dearth of opportunity. Uh, Maybe not necessarily the best infrastructure at times, but that's okay. I mean, I would always trade opportunity for infrastructure.
Hmm. Hmm. So now I would like to know a bit about what is MBAtrek, what does it do? And before that, if you can explain how did you come up with the interesting logo of MBAtrek? I think it is on your T-shirt as well.
Yeah. So it actually came with a very simple thought we had long back. Both me and my co-founder, we said, what is the number one thing that if you ask any person who hires from the industry, uh, and our focus always a little bit more towards the sort of the, if you want to call it the white collar or the office or corporate jobs, was what is the big challenge that we are facing with young people coming into the workforce? The biggest thing is they're not hitting the ground running. So we came up with the slogan called "Hit the ground running," and essentially that's the this person who's trying to run, and you see they have a hat, the graduation hat with a tassel. So the idea is it's a young student, he or she is running towards their career and starting the career. I think that is essentially the idea behind the logo, and sort of the idea behind the business as well, or the venture. I think for us, something we were talking about previously, we were very heavily invested in the idea that um, enough young people in this country are not scaling their corporate careers or their careers in general, and it's taking too much time, and for the amount of money that Indian parents, Indian children, Indian college students put into their education, time, money, effort. I don't think people are getting the return. And the return is not in the money actually only. It's many other things. But I think in the scale of the career, I mean, so I think that's the core idea for the venture. So We build tools, we build assessments, we build products and services to help people start and launch the right career for themselves. I think the biggest thing is till my generation, I think I'm a generation different from today's generation. You didn't choose a career; the career was chosen for you,
Hmm.
right? Right. Though it was not like, back in the olden days, it was not a carpenter's son becoming a carpenter, but yeah, I mean, my family had a very strong corporate lineage, so there was no choice but for me to go to the corporate world. Because that is the only thing I ever saw in my life, right? I didn't see anything else. So I think now I am very happy looking at parents and looking at how even younger people are coming through the system, the education system, are saying, no, I want to do what I want to do. And now the thing is, for us people who have graduated before them, we owe them the responsibility of actually telling them what career takes you where. And I think that is the focus of our venture, that we want to help people start on the right path, which is right for them, right?
Hmm.
uh, and meeting all kinds of expectations. Personality, what's your personality like? Your comfort level working with people, with technology, aspirations around money. I mean, it's absolutely fine to have aspiration of money from a career, but then what career will get you what money against what quality of life? There is a balance of all the three, right? So I think that's what we believe our role is, to launch people's careers. And we've held through for that for the last 3-4 years now, actually. So really happy about it. As I said, very privileged to be in this position.
So I think you are catering to a much needed area of the market. But my question is, what is stopping students or young people from choosing a particular career? What is stopping them from finding their passion or area of interest? In other countries, if you look at US or Europe, there people are very open and they choose what they want to do. Actually, they do not go after the common trends. For example, when I was starting out, everybody was studying electrical engineering or mechanical engineering. So I did not have any idea of what is what do you do with the mechanical, or what do you do with the computer science. So I followed what everyone is doing. Right. So, can you tell me what is stopping people? What is the core reason behind it?
Okay, perfect. So I'll start with the last word you mentioned, passion. Right. So the challenge is, if you think from a country standpoint, right, where we are today, the generations in the 60s or 70s were still trying to secure themselves. And then the 80s, 90s got a little more confident. Then liberalization happened. Then, sort of, even by the way, honestly, if you ask me, I was not a very secure person when I started my career. I was very insecure in terms of, can I take risks? Uh, I mean, I'm 36 now. I would have loved to be an entrepreneur when I was 25 years old, right? But the problem is that time is gone now. You could even argue I'm late to the party. I'm honestly late to the party, because if I look at my peer set of entrepreneurs in the ed tech and skill tech business, they're easily 8 to 10 years younger than me, right? Now, uh, I think the next generation things will change. But let's coming back to your point. I think we we need to build ecosystems in the education system. So I'm very happy to see the new education policy coming through in the education system, in the mindset of parents, teachers, people who run schools and colleges. The fact that we have to let young people express their passion, right? One of the biggest things that our education tells us is not to express passion, is to follow a process, because the process was confirmed by so many people, and therefore that is the only process to success,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
the only process to growth, right? So I think the biggest challenge is there are not enough systems in place to actually unlock passion. And I think in a strange way, they have come from very funny things, like social media has actually let people express their passion.
Hmm.
So there are so many influences. I'm shocked, like in a way that I have found young people who have 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh subscribers, and they're posting such amazing stuff. And not all of it is TikTok or fun and all that. Some of it is very serious. They're talking about careers and all that. And I'm like, wow, this is person only 22 years of age. They've not even started a career, but they have created a platform. They have got people in. Their, their passion is to mentor and coach people. They may not be a mentor, but they can get mentors to people. So I think that social media and a lot of these other things that are coming through are really helping unlock passion in young people. And I think as a society, as businesses, as educators in like school and college principals and deans and all that, their biggest role has to be how to unlock, hear the passion, let them call out and say, I want to do this. I mean, one of the funniest jokes on Instagram is, right, now in India, everybody's a cook. Everybody's cooking and taking all those master chef pictures. I mean, come on, honestly, half of us don't know how to cook, right? I'm okay, I need know how to cook, but I'm also posting pictures on Instagram. Why? It's just a way to express our passion, right? And there's nothing wrong in it. You never know that out of this, maybe the next 500 or 1,000 proper chefs could come out of India. The home chefs could be identified.
Hmm.
So I think that's the key thing. The system has to be in place for passion to be unlocked, right? And people to express passion without fear. I think that's the biggest thing. I think that fear is going away now. I think I'm very happy to see that people are saying, "Oh, you want to be a cook? Fine, that's great." I've seen on MasterChef those cooks become they have great careers, right? I think that's a key thing. The fact that now people can connect a passion with some kind of, if I can use the word, in a lot of people think of it negatively in a way, is monetization. Can I make money? Can I build a career out of it? I think that's the second piece of the puzzle, is can we find ways of celebrating people who have taken a passion and created something at scale? It could be a not-profit, it could be a profit business, whatever it is, but it is a successful piece, and also share their failures. So combination of both, and that's why something that you are doing is actually very wonderful, because it is actually sharing the passion of the entrepreneurs with young people. So hopefully they are not scared to actually express that, I want to be an entrepreneur. They could have, I have my entire family, there is no entrepreneur ever. There
Hmm.
is no entrepreneur. We have no history of entrepreneurs,
Okay.
right? So uh, I think the fact that maybe if I'm the first entrepreneur, I can hopefully inspire later on in my family some entrepreneurs. You never know, hopefully.
Speaking of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship, uh, do you guide people into different careers and different type of fields? Do you direct anyone to entrepreneurship as well? Have you?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a special product around that, which is
Okay.
focused more around people, if the word is pre-final year, so third year of engineering or second year of a 3-year course like a BBA or a BCom. So the idea with these young people is we actually see if there is the seed of entrepreneurship inside them, and we actually as a part of the service we actually talk to parents, and we actually identify that, listen, your child or your young one actually has the ability to be a good entrepreneur. They have, and sometimes in many cases they have been doing something, let's say on social media or whatever, which is very close to being a proper business or a proper venture. So we've actually recommended people for entrepreneurship. Um, have we still as a business been able to drive people end to end for them to actually go and then start an entrepreneur venture? We haven't got there. I would love to look at maybe offerings or products that we create over a period of time where we actually kind of play that semi incubator role. I think that would be something that I think which would be a great thing for us to do. We aren't quite there, but yes, we do recommend some people for entrepreneurship, especially sometimes given monetary constraints and all that. actually recommend to people that maybe you may want to work for a couple of years for a short period, and then actually look at entrepreneurship as an viable career option, not just a flash in the pan. Actually, you could be an entrepreneur for the next 15, 20 years. So, but maybe you need the experience and things from working for the next few years. So yeah, we've done that with a lot of people, and yeah, and I think a lot of people are actually coming out themselves and saying, I would like to do entrepreneurship. Can you help me build can you help me build the case for myself? I
Hmm.
want to be first convinced that I will be an entrepreneur. Can you help me? I know I can be, but somebody has to convince me,
Okay.
right?
Hmm. So now I'll get back to the regular course of interview. Would like
Hmm.
to know uh, when did you think of starting a venture of your own, and when you thought when the idea hit your head, what was the first thing you did? What were your initial days like?
Okay, so that's very interesting. So actually, while I've been full time at MBA for the last 2 years, or a little more than 2 years now, but actually MBAtrek was sort of a discussion I was having with my co-founder way back in 2015, end of 2015 actually.
Hmm.
2015-16 is when we were really thinking of this. For me, the trigger actually came for the fact that I was working with a lot of young people. I was hiring them, I was mentoring them, and and the best of colleges and the worst of colleges, the
Hmm.
challenge I would find is roughly the same,
Okay. What
and
is?
that would get you. So the challenge was, as I said, actually there were two things. Uh, we didn't find people, or it, it was a big struggle for me personally to find people who are industry relevant
Hmm.
and career ready. So that they were neither ready for a career or neither relevant. Like they didn't know the industry trends. They they didn't believe that it was required. They were like, okay, we just go to campus placement, get placed. Uh, I mean, you've been through the process, right? You've been in
Hmm. Hmm.
engineering, probably seen it. You just show up for campus placement, you are placed. Do
Right.
you want to work in the company? Do you understand the role? Do you understand the job? Do you understand the skills required? No, it's okay. I'll, I'll see. I'll get there and I'll see. Right. So, so I think that was something that I found very problematic, because as on the company side, you would spend 6 months to 9 months training people, and then suddenly they would actually find something they want to do, and they'll say, "Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gone."
Hmm.
Right? And people would leave. So uh, what we felt that this is such a waste of both time and effort. For me personally, it was, I've spent 9 months training this person, and suddenly they genuinely believe, and they would come to me and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I don't want to do what I'm doing right now, because I didn't think through it. I had to get a job, so I got a job, and
Hmm.
I'm talented enough that I'll get a job, but I want to go and do something else, so I'm going there."
Hmm.
Right? So I think uh, we wanted to stop this. We wanted to stop this. We wanted to put people in the right place at the start, right? So that they don't do this to a company, they don't do it to themselves, they don't do it to their career,
Hmm.
right? And that was the thing. And for me personally, I think um, I had worked for a while. So I'd worked for 7, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. So I was starting to feel that I don't want to do one thing at a time. I want to do many things at a time. And the only thing fundamentally which allows you to do that is entrepreneurship. When you can do multiple things and connect them together,
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. At least that's what I've learned in the last 2, 3 years,
Hmm.
that you can do multiple things at the same time and be able to connect them.
Hmm.
It's probably been a part of my personality for a very long time. I didn't realize it. I was very thankful to be in consulting, because consulting also gives you very similar kind of exposure.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think after a fairly decent corporate career, I was feeling that I can do things. I could do a lot more things if I was in complete control of what I could do.
Okay.
The one of the biggest challenges when you can get to sort of the level I was in the corporate ladder is you have people at the bottom
Hmm.
below you and people at the top of you, right? So you are basically trying to solve for both people. You never think about yourself, or you're never building your career. You're actually building people's career here or building people's career here. So
Right.
what eventually happens, you actually realize after a while you aren't doing anything for yourself.
Hmm.
And I think that's where it hit me that, I need to do something where I am actually making a difference, uh, and actually changing things, because in a corporate career, you're typically going one path up, right? So your ability to make change and see the change through uh, takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience also,
Hmm.
right? Because you may float an idea or a project. By the time it actually gets to the ground in a big corporate company, right,
Hmm.
it takes 2 years to 3 years,
Hmm.
right? And in entrepreneurship, you can think of it today and you can execute it on Monday,
So true.
right? Right. So I think that was one thing. I think from step standpoint, what did I do? I think I started to write down my thoughts, because I think one of the things people don't do when they think of entrepreneurship is actually try to structure those thoughts.
Hmm.
What would I like to do? What kind of business I would like to? I had multiple competing businesses in my mind, so I was thinking of doing something around the sustainability area as well, which is honestly a deep passion because it comes from my education and whatnot. This was another one, but probably this was a more immediate idea which I understood very well.
Hmm.
But I could only come to that conclusion when I started to write down things,
Okay.
or put it down on a computer or a document. And I started penning the idea, and then it became clear to me, yeah, okay, I am starting to see different aspects of of this business or this venture together, which means that I'm now very close to taking the, as they say, taking the leap or taking the plunge,
Hmm.
right? So I think that is something that at least I personally learned, that you need to start putting everything either on a piece of paper or a whiteboard or somewhere, right? So that mental load goes away, and then once you see it again, then it becomes very clear to you that, hey, am I ready for this, or I'm not ready for this? And sometimes the answer is, I'm not ready for this.
Right.
Maybe for the other business, I was not ready for it. I realized that I'm not ready for this one. I'm more ready for, because I can think about it more deeply. I can build, let's say, a virtual 2-year plan in my mind, but here I couldn't build a plan beyond 3 months.
Hmm.
And that then gives you a very good sense that maybe this is not the best idea to start with. Maybe the other one is. So I think that really helped me personally, if you ask me. I think
Okay.
putting those thoughts down.
Once the idea was fixed, then how did you manage recruiting the team and then arranging the funds?
Huh. Okay, so I'll do the funds. The funds was in a way interesting that I and my co-founder decided to self-fund the business. Even today, it is self-funded, um, which means that you have to first get used to not having salary,
Hmm.
because you've had salary for 9 years,
Hmm.
and a decent salary, and you get used to a lifestyle and all that. Um, so you have to first let go of the salary. I think that's the big mental block that I
Yeah,
had to clear
I think
personally.
some
Um,
great person said, what is the biggest addiction in the world? That is monthly salary.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it is bigger than any kind of harmful substances and all that you take, because you can go live without them, hopefully, but you can't live without salary in a way. So yeah, I think obviously the salary piece was there. I think I over a period of time consolidated some of my investments and everything so that I would use it as a part of the venture. Um, so funding, obviously, uh, but one of the bigger part of the funding was the company had to make money quicker
Hmm.
than, let's say, other edtech companies which are raising funds, because in their case they can use somebody else's funds to grow the business. In our case, the revenue that we generate was supposed to feed back into the business. So
Okay.
thankfully we have achieved that now, so we are happy with where we are, but obviously we're looking to scale, so that's there. I think from a people standpoint, I think the people piece is the hardest.
Okay.
Funds are easy to arrange, honestly. I think
Yeah,
in
then.
today's Indian system, funding ecosystem, I think there are a lot of big companies out there, a lot of big ventures, the PEs, the VCs. You have so many options. You have venture debt, you have venture capital, all that. I
Hmm.
think all that can be still managed.
Hmm.
I think the bigger challenge is people,
Okay.
because you need to find people, at least the first core team,
Hmm.
who has the same passion as you. So the problem is you are essentially now looking for 5 to 10 more entrepreneurs,
Okay.
but who
Okay.
are also specialists in their role. So it's
Hmm.
a very strange combination. You are asking for the sun and the moon together,
Hmm.
because they need to be good at one thing, but they also need to think exactly like an entrepreneur. So they have to have the same passion for for the company's business or the venture, but
Hmm.
they also should be very good at what they're doing.
Hmm.
So functionally they have to be good, and they need to have they need to be literally like an entrepreneur. So
Hmm.
I think I'm very happy that, and honestly, you know what, I know this may sound very cliche,
Okay.
but in entrepreneurship, somebody had told me this, and I now firmly believe it. The first core team picks you rather than you picking them.
Okay.
So if you interview enough and you meet people enough, eventually somebody will come and like you so much
Hmm.
that you will be like, okay, I will give you an arm, I will cut my arm and a leg to have you, and you can become part of my venture. So I think as an entrepreneur, the first team actually arrives to you, not the other way around.
Hmm.
It's very rare that I'm sure most entrepreneurs, when they will talk about it, they will actually share that
Hmm.
the first set of people, or a good section of the first section of people, actually came to them rather than the other way around.
Right.
So
Give us examples. Tell us how did you recruit your core team as well as your
hmm.
co-founder? How did you first convince them to join you? And what are the things you
So
yeah, yeah. Go on.
go ahead. The things I'll let you finish.
I was asking what were the qualities you were looking for in a particular.
Okay,
Hmm,
okay. So I think the co-founder is a little easy.
hmm.
I actually share a blood relation with my co-founder. He's my father. So
Okay.
he and I both have very long, I mean, we had fairly long corporate careers. He's worked for a good 40 years in the
Hmm,
corporate world. I had worked for about 10 years. And
hmm,
we both were, so he had another venture. I was obviously in the corporate world, but we both connected on the same idea. Every time we met, we
hmm.
only talked about the same thing,
Okay.
that, how can we do something for young people? How can we launch people's career? And
Hmm,
eventually, we decided that we can post on LinkedIn and all that, but that's not going to create real value or real change. The
hmm.
only way we'll create real change is we build a venture around this.
Okay.
So that's how I found my co-founder. In a way, he was sitting right next to me all my life. I did not know that,
Hmm,
but that's how I found him. I think with the team, we went to the campuses. uh, we were very lucky to have some nice interns initially. So we went to all the campuses in the Delhi region and around, and we
hmm,
traveled across India as well.
hmm.
So we went to the campuses. We went through the campus placement sort of process, because see, in our case, there was a dual intent. We wanted to learn the system as well,
Hmm, hmm,
inside out.
hmm.
So because we see, it's a system we're trying to fix, so we might as well learn it also, right? So
Okay.
for us, that worked very well. We got deep into the system. We went to, I mean, in 2 years we covered almost 100 plus campuses on foot. We
Okay.
did a lot of physical hiring, a lot of virtual hiring, spoke to a lot of students. So I think, I think from a quality standpoint, let me put it that way. I think one of the biggest things that I look for whenever I hire anybody,
Hmm.
is it's a very interesting word, is resilience.
Okay.
Uh, and I think where you're sitting, the people of Orissa are like are the they're at the god level of resilience, right? They have a flood every year on time. It gets worse and worse every year, but they are so resilient. They know exactly what to do. There's no panic in the state.
Hmm.
Everybody shows up to work the next day.
Hmm.
It's just not a big deal. They've just figured a way out to solve for this, and they are very, how do I say, they're almost undramatic about it. It's not a big deal,
Hmm.
right? It's like, okay, flood, okay. Oh, this year was actually not as bad as last year. Last year was really bad. This year's okay, okay,
Right.
right? So I think that's great. I think that's something that any venture core team needs,
Hmm.
is that resilience. That okay, today was a bad day, but tomorrow will be a good day, and I will make sure it's a good day,
Hmm.
right? And I will, even if I went in thinking tomorrow will be a good day and tomorrow's a bad day, that's okay. But day after will be a good day again.
Hmm.
So you need that kind of spirit in people where they'll say, every day will be a good day and I will make it happen.
Okay.
Right? Good day could be more users, more people, more money, more solving a particular problem, getting something fixed on the web. It could be anything, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to make a difference today. Right? So I think resilience is probably the number one quality that at least I've always looked for. I
Hmm.
think it's very important. Um,
Right.
I think the other thing which is very important for me in a very funny way is I don't know if the word is professionalism, but I think a high level of integrity and honesty,
Hmm.
in terms of, I love to have people who, let's say, not be able to do works that day and actually tell me that evening that, sorry sir, or sorry Abhishek, for a couple of hours in a day I didn't feel like working, right? But you know what, tomorrow I'll make up for it, and they make up for it tomorrow,
Hmm.
right? And that is brilliant, because I think that is a very human,
Okay.
and b, I think the level of, if people can be extremely transparent with you, I think that's another thing. So people who value transparency, who value integrity, honesty, I think it's very easy because working with them, because what happens is then you are not guessing.
Hmm.
You know exactly what you see is true.
Hmm.
So the thing is, your mind is not occupied in trying to analyze what somebody said or what somebody did to say, is this the reality or is this fake?
Hmm.
uh, I mean, I think the biggest thing was the lockdown. I mean, I was just truly impressed with the way my team responded to it. That there were days that, they would come and tell me that, sorry, Abhishek, today is, I've not been able to somehow work because there's so much distraction at home and all that. But then the other day, I'm sitting there and somebody's working late in the night and I'm trying to tell them, please go to sleep. And they're like, no, it's fine because the last day I didn't cover my time well, so I'm compensating for it.
Hmm.
But uh, as much I don't feel great about people working at 12 o'clock in the night, because I think that's one part of entrepreneurship which is unnecessarily over celebrated, which is this whole, we will do everything in 2 days and we will work for 48 hours non-stop. And
Hmm.
I don't know if that's the right way to build people and businesses, but um, yeah, I think that was something that I really look for. So resilience, and I think honesty, and I think the sheer ability to solve
I'd like to
problems.
give you an example. The point you mentioned.
Sure.
Uh, there was this company I interviewed for. They're a fast-growing startup. In fact, very well funded, and they wanted me to work for 13 hours a day and 6 days a week, and that is 70 hours, 78 hours a week. The job I was doing before, it was 40 hours a week. So I told them, "Are you doubling my salary?" Because the work time has doubled. The uh, justification they said is, we are a fast growing startup. This is the way we are. I told them, this is not what I am, boss. You hire somebody else. I
Yeah,
think that is
yeah,
a
I think,
valid point you mentioned. There has to be a balance between work and life.
and I think there is a balance of quality, because the thing is, basically, if somebody is working 80 hours, after 55 hours, the quality of work is very poor.
Hmm.
You can tell me whatever you feel like. The
True.
reality of the fact is, if somebody were to run a scientific experiment, and I've seen this personally from consulting, because consulting was also long hours. After your 55th or 60th hour, basically,
Hmm.
every additional hour you put, the return is actually negative.
Okay.
Your productivity starts falling massively. So
Okay.
even if you're putting 20 more hours, you would have fundamentally done 2 hours of work
Hmm. Hmm. True. True.
or 3 hours. So what's the point of working 80 hours?
So true.
You might as well push yourself and work for 60 hours, but you work so well in the 60 hours that you're done, right? And it's something that I've tried a lot to maintain with my team, and I think they've done very well. And personally, to work 5 days a week, I think everybody deserves the Saturday and Sunday, right?
True.
Why not? Right? So why not, as a startup, we challenge the fact that you don't have to wake up on Saturday morning and go to office. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, there are times we have come, very rarely,
Hmm.
but only when the need has arisen for some special things, or for events like these, or webinars or whatnot. But
Hmm.
that's it. Otherwise, or we have to travel.
Hmm.
Okay, but why should we work every Saturday, Sunday?
Okay.
Why can't we work longer on the weekdays, finish our work, and then have our own personal lives?
Right.
Yeah,
Abhishek, I
I
have
agree.
one more question around the team building. I think you already have a core team in place. So here is a very interesting question. Every startup, almost all the startups are based on growth. Their model is based on growth. So uh, let's say your business model is solid and you grow very fast. And to grow very fast, your core team has to be very solid. But once the startup has grown and it has become a unicorn, the team which is in place, the core team, they not be very well experienced. Maybe they have 3 years experience or 4 years experience. They are not equipped enough to be the department heads or AVP or DGM of a particular department. So how should a startup founder deal with such a situation? Should he allow people to grow at the same rate as the company is growing, or should he hire more responsible, more experienced people for the top level or top level roles when the startup grows?
So that's a very interesting question, actually, very well thought question, Priyanjan. So let me try to answer it both as an entrepreneur and as an industry professional. I'm a far younger entrepreneur compared to all those celebrated entrepreneurs. I'm very young. I'm still learning, actually, but I think on the industry side, I probably have better experience to talk about it, um, because I've seen poor leaders on both sides. What I believe. And I'm still learning leadership, honestly.
Hmm.
I think you're right. I think when companies go, and by the way, I honestly believe the companies are built not on growth but on people.
Hmm.
Till we don't come up with machines who can completely replace us, I think every business in this planet is built on people, not on machine, not on growth.
Hmm.
Growth actually comes because of people, not the other way around.
Hmm.
Right? So I think the people element is important, and therefore I think as a founder, a co-founder, I think the biggest thing people have to realize, some people are individual contributors. So in fact, the biggest tech companies in the world, the Apples, the Googles, the Facebook, Microsoft, everybody has identified, they call it the IC role. Some people don't get a team, they don't manage a team
Okay.
because they are individually so brilliant, they can do their job, and they can do one part of the whole thing without having to worry about talking to 20 people,
Hmm.
right? And I think as a founder, co-founder, you have to learn to not make them managers.
Hmm.
You have to find individual contributor roles for them, bigger and bigger roles as they grow up in their career or as your business scales up. I
Okay.
think the other set of people are people who have the MC capability. MC is managerial contribution,
Hmm.
right? So I think those are the people that I think a founder, a co-founder, along with him or herself, by the way,
Hmm.
should spend time building the leadership capability. I
Okay.
think one of the things that I've seen, at least with the fast going entrepreneurs, they never talk about how they are working on improving the quality of their leadership,
Hmm.
right? And I think that's a big miss. They become so obsessed with the growth, as you say, the whole growth and hyper growth and exponential growth and this growth and that growth. They don't realize that actually for that growth to sustain, um, the leadership team needs to become leaders.
Hmm.
The problem is they when they started they were not leaders. They were area heads or functional expert, and that EQ element, that emotional quotient element or emotional intelligence has to expand so much that they should be able to lead 500,000 people, and to a certain way the old traditional way of people would go through the ranks, and let's say when you became a plant manager, you handled 5,000 people. When you handle 5,000 people, your emotional intelligence is equal to that of god,
Right.
literally, because
Okay.
you're 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 handling 5,000 variables at one point,
Hmm.
right? Multiplied by everybody has, let's say, 20 personality variables going. So 5,000 multiplied by 20, that's like, wow, that's crazy. That's 1 lakh combinations working, something like that, and then they're also interacting with each other,
Hmm.
right? So I think that's the EQ element is very important for the core team. As they grow, they need to grow that EQ or emotional intelligence really massively, so that they can also, and they need to, and the biggest thing is, I think they have to drive that message all the way down
Hmm.
to the next level of leadership. That EQ and emotional intelligence is very important, and also to not load people who don't want to do managerial work,
Hmm.
who don't want to be the people's person. Don't make a people's person out of someone who is not a people's person. I
Okay.
I've learned it the hard way, because uh, I've seen a lot of people in my consulting career who are great individual contributors,
Hmm.
but the day they became a manager, their career just completely collapsed
Okay.
because they couldn't deal with people,
Hmm.
right?
I think it was very nicely answered. Just one doubt that was left. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so uh, this particular guy who is an individual contributor who has built, who was your first staff recruited, he built your engine, and
Hmm.
then later on he's not growing. He is what he's doing what he was doing. He's not growing. How do you address this particular issue? How I think this particular person will lose out in the long run always. I also, if you look at various companies, successful companies, uh, I think there was some guy. If you look for, if you take reference of Apple, there was another guy called Steve Wozniak. So he lost the, he did not get anything. He built the first Apple computer, but he did not get anything. I think the same thing happens to all the individual contributors working in startups. How how this particular issue can be addressed?
So I think it's actually the reverse. I think Steve was more of an IC. Steve Wozniak was a people's person. So a lot of so so I think the bigger thing with the IC, the individual contributor, because Steve himself was a genius. He's an absolute genius, right? I think when you look at some of these tech startup billionaires and these big leaders, they
Hmm.
have been smart enough to realize that they are an IC.
Hmm.
And the smartest thing that an IC should do for their own growth is
Hmm.
to surround people with, surround themselves with people who are MCs.
Hmm.
Because what will happen is these MCs will help grow their business or their venture or their idea. And I think the IC, and as an entrepreneur, I've realized it with my team. The people who are individual contributors, I try to make the problem bigger and bigger for them to solve.
Hmm.
Because if you give the, as you said, you built my engine and now your job is to maintain that engine, they will lose interest.
Right.
They will feel that they're stagnated. What
Hmm.
you have to go and say, you build 100 let's say a 50 horsepower engine. Now build me a 500 horsepower engine. And
Hmm.
once they build you a 500 horsepower, you say, I'm not satisfied. I want a 5,000 horsepower engine. You
Okay.
make the ocean bigger and bigger for them. And that's the only challenge, by the way, which will actually truly inspire them. So actually, money may not inspire them.
Hmm.
Fancy titles may not inspire them. But the challenge of a bigger problem that they can solve
Hmm.
on their own or with the help of a team, that will truly drive them. I think so. With the ICs, I think over a period of time, you have to work towards how can I give them bigger and much bigger problems to solve, uh, and keep them growing. That is growth for them, because the managerial contribution person will only measure growth in terms of how large my team is,
Hmm.
how many people are handling.
Hmm.
Actually, the larger the problem is not, if you keep increasing the problem, it's not necessarily going to make them very excited. But the more people they manage, the more variables they manage, the more complexity of the task, that they will enjoy more. So because their managerial contribution, right, their mind is built to connect 20 things and try to solve. Whereas the individual contributor is very different. The individual contributor is looking to take a very tough problem, and a big problem that nobody else can solve. They can go and solve it. I think it's sort of two ways of thinking about it.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
there's some people who are a mix. I mean, it's not black and white, but people tend to be predominantly either on this side or that side.
Okay. That is a very interesting perspective. I think a lot of young entrepreneurs are struggling with this particular issue and well addressed by you.
Thank
Uh,
you. Thank you.
Abhishek, I think I am almost up with time as well as questions. Uh, One last question. What would be your final message to potential entrepreneurs of this country?
What would be my final message? Um, I think first, make sure you have settled on the passion. Your entrepreneurship has to be a passion, something you can't wake up in the morning and try to convince yourself that this is what I need to do. You should be convinced the moment you wake up, right? So I think if the passion is missing, don't do it. Just, it's okay. You can close the business tomorrow. It's not a big deal. I
Hmm.
mean, okay, there's legal hassles and all that. You can figure it out, but do it, because you will make your life easy. So follow the passion always. First, build the passion and then monetize it. Number one. I think find a way to monetize it, or build scale. So monetization actually doesn't always mean money. It means scale also, some kind of scale. And to a certain degree, I agree with this whole hyper growth concept in a way, though I don't think necessarily is the best way of building a business. But it's okay. I think it works for a lot of people, and it's good. It's important. It creates disruption in the market. I
Hmm.
think third thing is, uh, truly find an idea. It's probably better to find a new idea or a white space rather than copy an existing idea and trying to do it a little better than someone else. The success may come later, but it might be a lot more than just trying to copy something else. I think personally that makes sense. I think fourth is build a great team, uh, because as an entrepreneurship in an entrepreneurship journey, I fell into the trap early that I will try to do everything myself. I will work 90 hours a week,
Hmm.
and why should I hire more people? Why should I spend the money? I can do it all my own. No, actually, the more things go through different people, the more likely it will be of quality. And I think the last thing, therefore, connected to that is uh, quality. I think as an entrepreneur, don't sacrifice on the quality of the product or service or offering or whatever you're doing.
Hmm.
Don't sacrifice the quality. Be obnoxious about quality, uh, uh, to the extent that you should be obsessed about it, right? I will not give something bad to my customer. I will take the financial hit. I will take the personal hit. That's okay. Take it, but don't give anything of bad quality to the customer. It's something I think I'm very proud of with my team and myself is at whatever cost, we never want to give anything bad to the customer. We will always want to make it right. Uh, so much so that if we have to lose our shirt for it, that's fine,
Hmm.
right? Especially if we promise something to the customer and we couldn't deliver, or we couldn't manage the perception with the customer that we had done something, we will work very hard to prove that we did right. If we can't, then we will do exactly what the customer needs. We will deliver the quality, or we will deliver it exactly the way you do it, you want, because I think that's the last thing. If you can do that, um, I think your customers, regardless of whatever they say, they will continue to love you and grow you as a business, right? I mean, if you think of all the big companies in our country, um, why doesn't anybody complain about anything which is built by the Tata Group? Because we know the group stands for quality, whatever said and done, right? From an AC they built to the Starbucks coffee that you have, to to uh, the cars. Yeah, I mean, it is it the best fanciest car in India? No, but is it a car that you trust? The quality you trust? Yeah, absolutely. So
Hmm.
I think those companies and those businesses last, which focus on quality and addressing the customer's need, right? I think we should never lose sight of that as entrepreneurs. We all tend to,
Hmm.
business becomes more important than the customer, but we must remember there is no business without the customer, right? And then something I'm very happy. As I said, I love cricket. I'm hearing a lot of the cricketers and they're saying, yeah, I mean, it's great to play cricket again, and we're playing in front of empty stadiums. I don't play cricket to earn money, or that. I'm playing for these people, but at least I know today somebody is watching on television. But if somebody stops watching my game, then why am I playing in the first place? I play for
Hmm.
those people. Those are my customers, right? And it's very nice to hear all the big cricketers saying that, we play for the crowds. I think it's great to hear that they actually, because a lot of times you see them in the IPL and all that, you think they only play for money, but actually they don't. It's great to hear that. I think the same thing with the founders. You play every day for your customers. The day you forget that, I mean, it's the day you kind of start to go down. Then I
Yeah.
think.
If it is for money, then you can go for a full-time job. Money is there, enough money to sustain yourself.
No, I think money is a part of it. Absolutely fine. You need to make money by actually serving the customer. But if you're only making money and not serving the customer the way they should be served, then there is a challenge, right? I think making money, there's no problem with it. Every business should at least aim to cover its cost. That's the way you have to do business, right? It makes absolute sense, no problem. But you have to address the customer first. If you're missing that itself, it's like missing a big fundamental, right? So yeah, I think that's the final message I would leave anybody with. At least that's what I've learned. A lot of people can prove me wrong and say, Abhishek, sorry, that's not how business is done. I have a 500 crore business, I have a 10,000 crore rupee business, and that's how you don't do business. Okay, I guess that's probably right also.
I
Maybe
think that
they're
was
right,
a lovely
but that's
message.
my feeling.
I think that was a lovely message.
Yeah.
Abhishek, I think we have overshot the time limit by 30 minutes.
Oh wow. Sorry. I apologize for that.
This is the longest discussion we have had in this channel. It was really interesting, though.
Okay.
So, on that note, I would like to end this session. I would
Hmm.
also like to tell you that it was a pleasure to host you at ELI, and our audience would have got lifetime lessons from this video. Thanks for your time, Abhishek, and our best wishes for MBAtrek.
Thank you, Priyanjan. Best wishes to you at ELI. I think absolutely wonderful sort of initiative forum that you're trying to create. The biggest of success to you, the biggest of growth to you guys. I think it's wonderful that you're thinking of being an ecosystem player in the startup world. And yeah, and please reach out to me. Let me know what where I can help you. I will try to connect you to other founders as well. But wonderful work. I think it's been a privilege on the other end. Honestly, I've learned. I'm very happy to have learned things from someone like you. So really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek. Viewers, you can follow and connect with Abhishek on LinkedIn by searching for Abhishek Srivastava. Also, do visit MBAtrek website by typing mbatrek.com. So, whom do you want to have here at ELI for next episode? Do let me know in comments below. We will be back before you know it. Stay tuned to Entrepreneur Launch of India.